Hello. Thought I'd go live a couple of minutes early. Scorpio. Oh, is this going to be Owen Benjamin related? Well, I'm just going to have to keep you in suspense there for a little bit. However, Scorpio, I'm glad you're here. I wanted you to know that we had our first pet, a little scorpion, and I named him Scorpio. Now, we had him in a little bowl. I had this little bowl I used to keep all coins from different countries. And we put him in there, and then my wife fed him a couple of caterpillars, which he ate. And then we found another Scorpio, and then another one. But my wife was getting anxious at the fact that, oh, they're not eating enough. Like, look, they're scorpions, and like all gammas, they just kind of sit there and don't do much, They'll eat the occasional caterpillar, but they just sit under the rock. They only come out at night when nobody's looking, and then they like flicker their things and move their tail about like they're really dangerous and stuff. But they're cute little animals. And but she wouldn't believe me, so eventually we let them go. And as soon as we let them go, of course, they ran around saying, I won, victory, and they all ran off. I just thought I'd tell you that little story because it really is true. I named him Scorpio. So he's out there. He's free now. He's free. I hope he does well. So, okay, there's already more than a dozen of you. ¿Qué? ¿Necesita que hable en español? Scorpio? Tengo un scorpioncino pequeño. Understand now? Okay. Anyway, yeah, so the Trinity. Now, as some of you know, of course, Milo apparently ambushed Owen Benjamin with the grifter, E. Michael Jones, Professor Rachel Fulton Brown, who I respect quite deeply, and some other guy I've never heard of who claims to be a Catholic, but I suspect Novus Ordo. And they were all going on about the Trinity, and there's people in the chat saying, oh no, I don't understand non-Trinitarians. Let me explain it to you. You see, non-Catholics, Churchians, Protestants, all manner of heathens, just do not read the Bible. Here's the Trinity. You can time me, okay? From when I say start, you can time me. I can explain the Trinity to you in 30 seconds or less. So, what you need to do is take out your New Testament. Here you go. This is an interlinear Greek one. I've got the Dwyer somewhere. I've got other ones. It doesn't matter. Take any New Testament. Go to 1 John 5. Yeah? 1 John 5. And then you go to part 7 to 9. But really you only just need 1 John 5, part 7. Here it is. Ready? Go ahead and time me. This is what it says. For there are 3 that bear record in heaven, the Father, the Word, and the Holy Ghost. And these 3 are one. That's it. It's in the Bible, right? Good enough for me. Good enough for every Catholic that ever lived until 1958. Good enough for, anyone that calls himself a Christian that is actually a Christian, i.e. Catholic. Everybody else is heretic, heathens, pagans, blah, 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 Protestants, and, whatever other manner of nonsense. I have not seen the interview or whatever it was, the intervention with Owen Benjamin, but there it is. The problem with these people is that none of them read the Bible. None of them. They haven't got a fucking clue. The Trinity is simply in the Bible, and Protestants will tell you the Trinity is not in the Bible. Well, it isn't in the Bible if you don't read it. If you never read it, it's not there. That's it. Done. We're done on the Trinity. Now, let's just... there was a bunch of other things, some topics that people wanted me to address, which I thought were really quite awesome. So Oh yeah, well, Woolly Ram asked the question, which was, why is the Holy Trinity so objectable to nominal Christians? And my response was, the key word there is nominal, i.e. they're not Christians. They're Protestants, they're whatever, Orthodox or Orthodox, inverted commas, Catholics, inverted commas. These are, they're not Christians. They're people who just LARP at being Christian. They're grifters, liars, deceivers, idiots, morons, it's a lot of those. That's it. One of the other things was the state of Italian sedevacantism. Well, I haven't been here long enough to make a generic statement on the whole country, but sedevacantism is alive and well in Italy. And I discovered this already in 2016 when I lived in Venice for about a year or so. I attended Latin masses there. I wasn't baptized then, so I just watched and spoke to the priests and so on. I've been to a Latin mass here, a proper Catholic mass. I think it was last week. I didn't get a chance this week because there's a lot of stuff to do on a farm. Even if you are a warlord by nature, I just don't have enough slaves. I mean, loyal servants. I mean, serfs. Peasants. I need more peasants. So I've got to do quite a bit of stuff myself. Yeah, it's doing well. There are almost any city in Italy has a sedevacantist priest. You're probably within, at most, I would say a couple of hours at most, but I would say probably an hour's drive from a proper Catholic mass anywhere in Italy. So it's doing quite well. The main church in Italy is the Istituto Mater Boni Consigli, which is located actually in the town where I was born, Turin. That's their headquarters. So yeah, the state of sedevacantism in Italy is pretty good. The average Italian is unfortunately as generally nowadays, at least, as uneducated, not as the average American, because I mean, you're talking bush people from the Congo when you're comparing Americans to Europeans. There's just aren't Kurgans immortal to designated peasants? Well, I've got to say that my little enclave here has got some very loyal, extremely loyal, hardworking henchmen. I wouldn't call them peasants. They have worked themselves into full player character mode. Even if perhaps originally some of you might have thought, oh, he's got some NPCs. No. These guys have gone full blown player character. They're awesome people, and they contribute in a way that is that you really cannot replicate digitally, online, or whatever. Like that, there is nothing like meat space, real, working together, loyalty, building something together. It's awesome. So I would say that Italian sedevacantism is doing pretty well. And now, as I'm starting to get to know the people around here, the neighbors and so on, they're not familiar, generally speaking. The average Italian isn't familiar necessarily with sedevacantism, but they're very open to hearing about it. And once they hear about it, they're like, oh, because there is a cultural heritage of Catholicism in this country, but people are lazy, so they don't know the whole story. And once you tell them a little bit about it, they, depending on the person, some, of course, there are atheists, agnostics, like anywhere else. One of the other questions by Chad, which I think is probably in the chat. I'll get to. I see there's a couple of gammas. I'll get to you guys. Just give me a second. My loyal immortals come first. And Chad asked, maybe if others have this problem too, what to do if you can't find a nearby mass after trying Lux Vera. Lux Vera is a website that lists all the sedevacantist churches around the world. You can find a link to them on, it's just easier for me to remember, canon188.com. And if you go there, it's on their that's the first thing you see. I think they've got a link to the Lux Vera website, which updates pretty frequently. So my answer to that is, what do you think that somebody who wanted to be a Christian or Catholic in the year 200 but lived nowhere near a Christian, you just took up and started acting like a Catholic, like a Christian, started reading up about it, started understanding what it was, started trying to find out about it. So again, if you want to save yourself a bunch of time, here you go. Again, I know, there's a couple of gammas in the chat, so now they're going to call me a grifter because I'm showing you this book or whatever. But really, what this is 530 pages that will save you a few years of searching, because everything I say in here is referenced. It tells you where I got it from. It tells you where to go to find the bits that explain to you what real Catholicism is, that explains to you why sedevacantism are the only Catholics left, and so on. It's really pretty straightforward. It's written in the same style as Believe, which people seem to enjoy, because it's not a dusty old tome. It's pretty punch in your face. There are some bits that you might have to slog through a little bit. I certainly had to slog through chapter 2, I think it was, which was the detailing of all the heresy in the various, not all the heresy, of some of the heresy in each of the Vatican II documents. To list all the heresy in the Vatican II documents will probably take about 3 volumes of that size. But I certainly listed at least some of the direct heresy that was present in each of the 15 documents. There is one document that doesn't have direct heresy, Inter Mirifica, but so that was a bit of a slog to write. Some people have sort of said, oh, well, that part was a bit, just... But I've tried to make it interesting. Even when I talk about the heresy, I try to make it fun and whatever. And it's a reference book, like most of my non-fiction books, like The Face on Mars, like Systema. They're reference books. They're stuff that I've spent years figuring out, and then I compile it into one book to save other people time, money, and effort. Really, that's the nature of it. So if you want to learn about sedevacantism, that's the in-depth book. If you want a quick 2-hour read, then get Believe. It's like $9, $10, something like that. I think it's free on if you've got like Prime or something. I don't know. I'm terrible at the marketing of all this stuff. But let me quickly catch up with the oh, sorry. First, my immortals, they come first. These guys bothered to sign up on the Telegram and whatever. So another question that was, is SSPV like SSPX? Yes, they're fake Catholics. They're pretend Catholics. Oh, there was, to the question that Wooly Ram asked, which is, why is the Holy Trinity so objectionable to nominal Christians? There was a response, which is quite a good response, which says, I think it comes from the same place as the desire to be Freemasons or Knight of Columbus. Secret knowledge, secret clubs, secret superiority complex. The phrase vegan athlete comes to mind. And he continues with a very interesting question, which is also Kurgan maybe talk about the allowance of some vice. C.S. Lewis has a quote that said something like, just because something can be abused does not mean it should not be used. I'm thinking alcohol or tobacco, and where to draw the line between those things and something like gambling or illegal drugs. Not related to the Trinity, I know, but I'd be interested to hear your thoughts. My thoughts on that are that your intention matters. I personally don't really see any need for Class A drugs, cocaine or whatever, LSD. Now, there was studies that were done on LSD that if you had a guided trip when you actually were taking clean LSD with people who knew what they were doing. Now, clean LSD, almost impossible to get nowadays. I wouldn't know where to get that or how to trust that it was clean LSD. 2, people that know what they're doing. You're talking about clinical sort of psychologists, hypnotists, psychotherapists. Most of these people are completely fucked up and went into that field of study because they're fucked up and they want to control people. I know because I trained as a clinical hypnotist and I have some knowledge of what most of the people in that field are like. I went into it for my own personal reason of trying to figure out, okay, how can I self-hypnotize or whatever. And I did a lot of self-hypnosis before I even tried to help to hypnotize anybody else. And I quickly realized most hypnotists are egomaniacal people that want to feel like they're superior or have power over others or whatever. So clean LSD, a group of people that would guide you through. And by the way, I have found there are good hypnotists, there are good therapists. I know two personally myself, three actually. One psychotherapist, an Egyptian guy who's actually really good. Um, a lady hypnotist, which I trained together with, a Polish lady, and she's also very good, no ego, and a Ukrainian lady who I went to myself for some time, and she's also very good. Um, so they exist, but they're few and far between. Now, if you had all of those two things, you could take one acid trip, that would help you change certain neurological patterns that you have. And the reason they did this was with criminals. The recidivity rate in criminality was about 85%. That is, if a guy is a criminal and he's been to jail, 85% of the times he will end up back in jail or commit the same crime and so on. Now, once they did one guided trip with LSD, these guys, the recidivity dropped to something like 25%. So it was a huge improvement. So definitely there are things that can help. But personally, I don't think I really need that stuff. I don't know that most people need that stuff. And keep in mind that I think most people are idiots. So most people really are sort of beyond help anyway. So, but there are always exceptions. So for example, to mention, you mentioned gambling. This guy asked the question, and one of the other guys replied that says there was a saint, Saint Francis de Sales. He was a bishop of Geneva during the Counter-Reformation, but being Catholic, none of the Protestants wanted to speak to him, let alone discuss theology. Yet he noticed that they enjoyed playing cards, and so, because he wanted to befriend and speak to them, he learned to play himself and learned to be very good because he had an eidetic memory and could memorize cards. Every time he won, which was most of the time, he promised to give his winnings back to the Protestants that were in his debt on the sole condition that they come here and preach on Sunday, after which he would return their winnings. In this way, he won converts back to the faith. So you can use an evil thing or a bad thing or a not allowed thing to do good. And the way the world is at the moment, one of the examples is how to find a good wife, which I got asked that quite a few times on the various channels. And I did a video on this before. I think it was number 26, and I did another video, I think number 36, on a similar topic. And I said, look, in today's current climate, if you're going to be a religious Catholic guy that says, oh, I won't have sex before marriage, and there's need to be proper courting, and I first need to be introduced to this lady, have a chaperone, go out with her for a few months without any physical stuff going on, meet her family, see if she's suitable and all that, and then get engaged and then get married and then have sex, you're going to die a virgin. Likelihood is very high that you're going to die a virgin. Now, my personal advice, which goes counter to theology, Catholic thought, canon law, what a priest will tell you, is basically, look, try to pick someone who is not, a crack horse selling it for $10 on the corner, but get a girl that, you like, that you get on with, that you're okay with, you're compatible with, and then, I exaggerate a little bit, but I basically say, bang her, find out her name, find out if you get along with her, then meet her parents, then maybe get engaged, then maybe get married. But, bang her first, make sure she has plenty of orgasms so that, she's hooked, and then you can direct her to Catholicism. And there's a lot of people that disagree with me, that say, oh, this, that, the other, but I have a lived experience that tells me that you can do that. And I know other people that have done that. The ones that say, I'm going to be a virgin until I get married, they're still virgins. They're 45, they're not with anybody, and they're not going to be with anybody. So, people say, oh, but that goes against the rules. Look, again, if you're a Protestant and you're 2D thinking, you're an idiot. Okay? Or if you're a Catholic and you're 2D thinking, you're an idiot. I mean, I had some Catholic people saying, well, you should never lie. So, yeah, I'll give you guys a minute now that I'm back on. Uh, just so let me get back to where I was. Yeah, so we're talking about this bishop who learned how to gamble and win, and then he'd ask the people that he won that he'd tell them and give them his money back if they would come listen to him preach, so that he converted a lot of Protestants back to the faith. So yeah, there is, and then I made example of finding a good wife, which is, bang them first and then you get married and lead them to Catholicism, which again, oh, it's sinful, it's wrong, blah, blah, blah. Look, again, I'm not a 2D thinker. And the way I see it, if you're a Catholic, you're a soldier behind enemy lines. We are in the domain of the enemy. So you've got to win. You've got to do what it takes to win. There are different people that think different ways. There are different personalities, different attitudes. Some people are martyrs by nature. They're few and far between. Most people are cowards by nature. But the fact is that if you are in a fight, win. You know who you're fighting for. What are you fighting for? What's acceptable to you to do for love? And I'm thinking, there are people that like Irenaeus, one of the very first saints. He walked for a year to Rome to get eaten by lions, and he said, "Oh, I hope they chew all my bones, because that will prove to people that I'm a proper Christian, that Catholicism is real." The saint whose name I took, who is the patron saint of butchers, the plague and epilepsy, and epilepsy and warriors. He was a captain of the guard of the emperor in the east, and they were busy torturing Christians, and he saw their resolve so strong that he said, "Oh, I'm converting here and now." Now, to lead back to that other question about, oh, well, what if I can't find a proper priest here and then? That guy didn't have a proper priest there and then. They were busy torturing Christians, and he converted on the spot by saying, I'm one of these guys now. And they killed him. They tortured him to death too. And he didn't relent at all. And he was the captain of the guard. Now, he is a saint. Why? Because, baptism of desire counts. Baptism of blood counts. So there are more than one ways to skin a cat, and you might think that, oh, giving up innocence so I don't lie is acceptable. It's completely not acceptable, completely retarded, and any real priest will tell you that. And in fact, real priests did tell me that, and and others to correct that person I was talking about. But I think that dealt with most of the questions that I had here. Oh no, there's one more. There's one that says, I'd love to hear about evil, what we know, what we can't know from the Bible. I find evil hard to comprehend, as well as its purpose being here. I'm still shocked after learning about narcissistic personality disorder, dealing with those people, and concluding they are the wicked children of the devil. Well, you see, evil, I've explained in Believe. It's a short little book, and it's explained pretty well there. Ultimately, evil comes down to free will. If there is no possibility to disobey, then you don't have free will. If you don't have free will, then you're not a living creature. You're a puppet. You're a robot. So unfortunately, if we are to be free, we have to have free will. And free will means that you can reject or divert from God. Now, if God is love, perfection, truth, justice, and so on, any diversion from that will lead into error, will lead into some form of evil. And we are not the only beings with free will. The angels clearly had free will too. And a third of them rebelled, led by Lucifer. So as a result of that, and because, Lucifer is a pretty powerful being, and so are some of the other fallen angels with him, it is quite understandable that there is indeed a lot of evil in the world, especially since this is under their domain. The earth is considered to be under the domain of Satan. And it is under the domain of Satan. If you look around, it's not hard to see that. In fact, after my road to Damascus moment, that was one of the things that convinced me that Catholicism and Christianity was real, was seeing the nature of evil much more clearly. Excuse me while I water my eyeballs, because I'm getting pretty dried up here. There you go. One single tear for you're not appreciating my concept of the Trinity. Right. So let's go back to you guys here and see. Unicorn Cup says, goodness, Owen is embarrassing in his lack of knowledge and faith. Yes, I'll give you that. Unicorn Cup also says, griftervention. That's quite funny. And E-Scorpio says, I think Patrick Coffin, that's the other guy that did the intervention with Milo for Owen, is critical of Bergoglio, but I don't think he's a sede. Yeah, there you go. He's a fake Catholic. David Perkins says, Milo got him so bad for a little bit I felt bad for Owen. First time for me. I didn't expect that from you, David. I thought you were one of the immortals. What is wrong with you? Toughen up, man. And okay. And Unicorn Cupcake says, Owen is Kamala Harris when confronted with tough questions. I guess there was a lot of loud laughing. Nicholas Flores is enjoying the streams. He's just laughing. Unicorn Cup says, I'm a Christian, but I'm going to change the rules to fit what I want to believe. Then no, you're not a Christian. Precisely. And I'm surprised this is coming from a Gamma. But yeah, that's exactly why I'm a celebrationist, because the rules, they're written down. It's not that difficult. Read them. If you read those rules and you believe in Christian God, then, and you're not Catholic, well, then you don't believe the rules. You don't believe Christianity. You don't believe in God. You don't believe in Jesus. You don't believe in the Bible. You're just making shit up as you go along. You're live action role playing at it, And E-Scorpio, that was when E-Scorpio was talking about me not having enough peasants and the immortals being peasants. No, the immortals are like barons. Think of me as the king of the Kurganate, and the immortals are barons who need to get their own serfs and so on. Tom Mastriani says, what's your take on Opus Dei? I suspect they've been trying to get their medal count to surpass that of the Jews in the Grabler Olympics. What are your thoughts on this organization? Totally corrupt, Novus Ordo, Freemasonic scum. Again, I don't know why you guys are confused. Anyone that assumes or pays lip service to or doesn't outright go against Bergoglio and all the fake anti-popes, anyone who says, well, Pope John Paul II was a good guy, he was Polish. No. Anyone who does not reject everything connected to Vatican II, and all the anti-popes connected to Vatican II, and all the fake clergy connected to Vatican II, anyone who doesn't do that is simply not Catholic. It's not difficult. Pope Pius XII was the last legitimate pope. Everyone after that, fake popes. Freemasonic fake popes. And any clergy that doesn't reject outright everything connected to Vatican II, all the documents of Vatican II, all the people who promulgated Vatican II, and all people who continue to teach Vatican II are themselves heretics, non-Catholics, not Catholic. Very simple. Oh, but what about recognize and resist? Not Catholic. What about SSPX? Not Catholic. What about SSPV? Not Catholic. What about Opus Dei? Not Catholic. Are you getting it yet? If you're not a sedevacanist, you're not Catholic. End of. It's very simple. It's not difficult. If you don't know the reasons why, either read my book, buy there you go, it's in the background somewhere. You can maybe, no, it's on that side, so you can't see it. But buy the Code of Canon Law of 1917. Read it. It's not that difficult to understand. If you're Novus Ordo, you are not Catholic. Douglas Jones. Hello, Douglas. Douglas is an aspiring immortal who's actually thinking of joining the Kurganate, I think. David Perkins says that he's putting in for chief constable or master blacksmith. Hey, if you're a blacksmith, dude, you need to move to the Kurganate soon. The people that can work metal are awesome. I've started doing a little bit of it myself just because I have to, because the guy who sold me this place is just a grabbling Jew who had like the most useless stoves and heating equipment. It's just the worst. So I'm having to fix bits and pieces all over the place, and I'm having to learn crap that I don't really want to learn, but I have to. So I end up working with metal and cutting into things and bending stuff and hammering away at things. But so far, I haven't lost any fingers or limbs. I now know why farmers are, it's one of the most dangerous professions you can do, especially if you do shit the way I do it. I'm not a very patient man at the best of times. And, all the health and safety equipment, all that, I just basically ignore all that crap. And it's probably only a matter of time before I fall out of a tree or something. But, so far so good. Minor injuries only, I got one of my fingers crushed by like moving the new fridge. And my wife and the loyal henchmen were helping, and when we put, I took the heavy end because I thought, no, and when we put it down, it slipped and caught the end of one of my fingers, and it's like, yeah, it's been quite a while since I felt that level of pain, but other than that, not too bad. And John Adams, hello, Mr. Adams. I enjoy your posts on Social Galactic. He says, I suspect Owen Benjamin fans won't like the stream, and I'm okay with that. Well, by now, those people that are here might have understood that I don't give a flying fuck who thinks what. The people I care about are very few and far between. I care about the people that it's worthwhile caring about. Some guy who calls himself a bear somewhere, some random person on the internet, yeah. Not high on my list of things that I give a crap about. And Unicorn Cupcake says, John, that is how you know you're doing it right. There you go. Oh, Chad is here. Thanks for answering. See, I gotta like Scorpio. He's funny. He's a harmless gamma, just like my little scorpion who's now running free. And he says, David Perkins, I'm putting in for welfare queen. I'm sorry to disappoint you, you nasty wetback, but there's gonna be no welfare queens in the Kurganate. First of all, because the only welfare we will have is the charity of your fellow Catholics. Now, you'd have to first of all become a sedevacantist, and then, if you're gonna be an open homosexual, sir, that just doesn't cut it. You're gonna, at the very least, have to be, like Milo, and sort of say that you're no longer homosexual and that you've gone back on that, and then you're fine. Nicholas Flores says most people there are fucked up. Here's me explaining how I'm not completely fucked up through self-hypnosis. That's a reference to something I said earlier. Yeah, most hypnotists, like most psychologists, psychiatrists, they're fucked up. That's just a fact. I don't care if you agree or disagree or know or don't know. David Perkins says no coal burners. Nah, you see, I don't really have an issue with the color of your skin or who you like to bang. As long as you're a good Catholic, you're fine. And Unicorn Cupcake says, the old banger first system. Yep. Oh, Dances with Logos is here. Hello. JP Santi, are we into Sky Daddy lore discussion yet? Oh, I guess we will have to ban him. Jeroen Huben, I dislike the word fan. It has such girly and infantile connotations to me. I enjoy Owen's streams, but I'm very happy the intervention is on its way. What do you enjoy about them casually? It's the dick talk, isn't it? Come on, admit it. Alright. This JP Santi guy can just go. We don't give a crap about gammas of his nature. How do I do this on this? There's apparently a way. Oh, I forget. I'll delete him later. David Page. Owen Benjamin should love this one. Oh, yeah. Amanda Jones says, hi, yo. I'm a little late to the party. Well, I'm a little late myself because the stream dropped for about 10 minutes due to my own stupidity. And I'm back, yes. David Perkins, stream glitched, and I just got the Kurgan saying, you're an idiot for like 5 minutes. Well, you see, people say God doesn't intervene. He's trying to have me share my thought about humanity with the world. What is your confirmation saint name? Oh, it's my saint is got two different names. So let me just patron saint of warriors and epilepsy and a bunch of other stuff. Right, let's see if that works. No, that's not it. So it wasn't just him. It was him and his wife as well. His wife encouraged him, like when because eventually they burnt him so that there would be nothing left of his body. But she managed to get one of his hands was left in the fire, so she took that and sort of ran away with it because she was about to get married off to one of the other politicians or whatever of that era. Here we go. President of military saints. That's it. Iconography, list of saints. Yeah, Adrianus. So it depends how if you Latinize or whatever. It's Adrianus or Adrian of Nicomedia. It was Adrian and Natalia of Nicomedia. And so I suppose the English version is Adrian, although it's Adrianus in Latin. So that's my patron saint. And Man Hugo says, the wife and I can't wait to move from the US. We planned on Idaho, but now we're ready to head to Italy. Thank God for blood right citizenship. I don't think real Catholics do the confirmation name thing. No, it's with baptism. So when you get baptized, you can choose a patron saint as a name. My wife took Joan of Arc, and I took Adrianus of Nicomedia. So, right, where were we? still 27 of you. I'm quite impressed, especially since I dropped out for about 10 or 15 minutes. And right, let's see if I've got any more commentary on that. No, let's see. Perfect. And one of my very loyal henchmen has fixed my my stream issues remotely, because that's how they roll. At 1 in the morning, they just gonna sort you out, dude. Don't worry. You know, it's quite something to have a little Kurgan army. I'm astonished daily by the loyalty, perseverance, trust that these people, commitment, have shown me. It is truly quite inspiring, because I don't know. There really, if you don't experience it yourself, it's quite difficult to try and explain how this goes. You know what it's like. It's very difficult when you, a supposed almost total stranger, like decides to spend time essentially trying to help you create a community of people that is let's see. No, that's not the way to delete him. Just trying to find out how to kill off these guys. But yeah, that was quite funny that appeared on the stream live. Anyway, I don't know. I'll figure that out later. So yeah, well, there's still 24 of you here if this thing is telling me the truth. So if you've got any questions, shoot. And man, Hugh Joe, yeah, drop me an email if you're interested in doing that. We can see what we can do to help. And yeah, ancestry visas and that would be important. Let's see. No. Oh, okay. That's cool. I can actually change the fonts. Good to know. But that's still not what I'm trying to do here. Okay, well, if you've got any questions, shoot them now or hold your peace. We've got a Chinese intruder. And if you're wondering why I call him a Chinese intruder, it's because he's a stink bug. And these stink bugs, just like the China virus, come from China. That's why. It's a Chinese intruder. I should have had my salt gun up here so you can see me shoot one live, but salt guns don't take these guys out. They're pretty tough. Did I answer your question on Opus Dei? I had to drop out for a little bit to help with the kids. My God, Tom, wake up. Yes, I answered it. I answered it obsessively. Opus Dei are Novus Ordo. Novus Ordo are not Catholics. If you, in any way, shape or form, do not reject Vatican II and all the fake popes and all the fake clergy, you are not Catholic. Opus Dei are not Catholic. They're scum. They're Freemasonic, evil scum. Okay? I hope that's clear now. Go back and check the stream and you'll see that I answer that question repeatedly. It's not difficult. If you are not a sedeprivationist or a sedevacantist, whatever you want to call yourself, you are not Catholic. Okay? If you do not completely reject the fake anti-popes from the 28th of October to the present day as fake anti-popes, and if you do not reject all the fake clergy that does not reject them, you yourself are a heretic and not a Catholic. That's canonic law. Okay, I didn't make that up. That's just how it works. Need help getting proof of grandparents' birth in Italy. Okay, well, like I said, drop me an email. I'm very busy, but I don't know if I can help. I'll try and do so. Heathker, are you in the Toe clan? No. Alright, we just have to ban some gammas because my most loyal henchman is indisposed. So I'm gonna have to kill them myself. Nothing quite as tiring as having to shoot your own peasantry, really. Let's see, kill the sound on this one, otherwise we get echoes, I guess. Yeah, and then we go here. All right. And there we go. I guess that must be probably some kind of Owen Benjamin fan. There you go. Bye-bye, Heath. And where's the other moron? There we go. Oh, did somebody already zap him? Where is he? Oh, no, there he is. And there you go. Bye-bye, JP Santi. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Oh, we have a serious question from William Poole. Right, let's go back to the... we can kill that. No, let's leave it there because we're going to probably nail a couple of other gammas somewhere. All right, so sorry, let me just reorganize my desktop here. Okay. And William Poole says, is manipulating a woman to love you by getting her to orgasm morally a good long-term strategy for a relationship? Seems like that is part of the reason why divorce rates are so high nowadays. Yes and no. Now, I learned by just doing what I did when I was completely not Catholic at all, that if you were good in bed, if you make a woman have enough orgasms, one after the other, pretty quick and regularly, they tend to fall in love. Now, what you do with that, that's up to you. Now, I didn't plan to, and you got to keep in mind, if you think I'm brutal on here, I'm a lot more brutal in face to face. I have never really deceived a woman to like getting into bed with me or anything, and there's been several, more than a few occasions where I have just outright told a woman like, "Look, I just want to bang you. It's not going to be a relationship. Might just be a one-time thing. Might be a week-long thing. I don't know. I don't think I want to have a relationship with you." And they still went for it. Whether they went for it thinking, "Oh, it's going to be fun," whether they went for it thinking, "Oh, I'll change his mind," whatever, I don't know. But I did notice that if you had, decent sex with them, then they would think that they've fallen in love. That doesn't mean they actually have fallen in love. They've fallen in some deep orgasmic lust, which they confuse with love. As do men. Men confuse all sorts of things with love. They confuse beauty with love. They confuse, again, really good sex with love. They can confuse a whole bunch of things with love. It's not necessarily love. So, I don't know. It depends on your intention. I wasn't Catholic at all when I was doing that stuff. So like I said, I learned by trial and error. Um, I wasn't trying to make them fall in love, and the ones that I fell in love with, which again were very few really, I usually fell in love with potential rather than actuality. The women that I did fall in love with certainly had a lot of potential to be good wives, but that wasn't necessarily always activated. And in some cases, at least in my first wife's case, she's a great human being. She's a very nice person. I'm still very good friends with her, but just was not compatible for me to to be my wife. You know, I needed certain different things, and she needed certain different things. And although we were compatible physically, you know, even emotionally in many ways, but in other ways we just weren't. So if you are already a Catholic, then your intention should be clear. Your intention should be clean. You know, before I got baptized, one of the very last, I think it was, yeah, maybe one of the last sort of relationships before I got together with my actual wife, was a girl that was nominally Catholic. She was a good girl, you know. She'd only had like 2 or 3 boyfriends, something like that, and we spent some time together and whatever. And we did end up in bed, but I didn't. You know, I did stuff to her. I made her feel good. I made her have some orgasms or whatever. But I didn't partake. I didn't actually have sex with her. I didn't penetrate her. I didn't do any of that. And I did that on purpose because I was like, no, she's a good person, and if I do to her what I know I can do by when I have full blown sex with someone, then she's gonna get hurt because I'm just looking and I'm kind of trying to figure out what it would be like to be with someone like that. And she was a good, relatively Catholic, quite a strong believer, um, but just wasn't gonna be right for me. I thought, you know, I felt like, you know, let me just look into this, but I and ultimately I you know, decided no, she wouldn't do. And I'm glad I didn't have sex with her, because then that would have kind of trapped her into a kind of thing that wasn't real for her. So yeah. Um, so I don't know. Let's say I was whatever 26 now, and I was a Catholic now. How would I go about it? I'd pick carefully. You know, before I started to, you know, before I really went for it, maybe I would have sex randomly or whatever with a girl that I thought might be it. But I would try as quickly as possible to figure out, is there potential here for marriage? Is there potential here for kids? Is there potential here for a serious thing? Or is this, you know, oops, okay, she was pretty, she was really cool, she was funny, and we got in bed, she was even good in bed, but then actually I realized, oh shit, no, I can't be with this person. And then when you do realize that, get out, you know, get out of there. Shit happens, you know, life is complicated. It's not a, you know, 2 + 2 is 4 all the time sort of thing. I hope that answers your questions, William. And if it doesn't, ask me again. Unicorn Cake says that Kurgan is the white Kevin Samuels. I have no idea who Kevin Samuels is, so I don't know if that's an insult, a compliment, or what. Perhaps to obscure a reference for this group. There you go. Definitely. Is that the guy that makes the beer? I have no idea who Kevin Samuels is, but I guess he's some cool black dude. Yeah. All right. Still 28 of you. Okay. Well, I think oh, let me just double check that I haven't forgot any questions that were asked very briefly. Let me have a look. No, I think I've covered the questions that I was asked. So if you guys have any other questions, shoot them now. Otherwise, I think I'll probably call it a night, unless something pops up into my head. What's this? That's a message from one of my loyal zealots. You know, I did say I truly I do love my zealots, my little Kurganet enclave of zealots, who are all sedeprivationists, and they're awesome. And he just says, I love my fellow zealots here too. I was in my bed about to sleep, and then I was out of bed to solve that problem. And he is awesome. awesome guy. So yeah, and you know, if you haven't lived in a situation where you can experience that level of camaraderie, brotherhood, sort of friendship, it really is invigorating. Um, I dare say that even someone like E Scorpio could benefit from that sort of a thing. Um, you know, we might be able to cure E Scorpio of his gammonness at some point. I, I I quite like the E Scorpio character. I, I feel as the Kurgan, I'm a bridge between the Gammas and the what are the other guys? Alt-right white supremacists, although they're not all white, whatever you guys call them. Oh, why would anyone be dumb enough to follow you? I don't know, Truth and Downfall. Why the fuck are you here? Why are you dumb enough to be here and be on this chat? I guess you must be another one of those kind of bear people. Bye bye, bye, bye. It's been quite I don't remember the last time I banned 3 people in a row. That was early days. In the early days, I banned a dozen of these fuckers for for weeks on end. But yeah, I guess they didn't get the memo. I don't give you people warnings. You're just gone. Okay. Well, there was something. I think I've got this feeling like I'm forgetting something. There was something else I wanted to touch on. I can't remember what it is. So I'll give it a minute, see if my tired brain comes up with what it was, or if one of you asks an interesting question. Otherwise, I'm at the end of my Campari, and after I down that, I think their heads for the collection, their bodies for the sandbags. Nah, I don't bother keeping SJWs and gamma heads. They're unworthy heads to keep as trophies at all. Just throw the whole damn thing to protect the sandbags. The bodies of those scum beings are of no use except as protection for the sandbags. Well, what else have I got to do? Oh, yeah, still a bunch of trees to prune. And a bunch of bits and bobs to be done around the house. I still have not put up my world map, which upsets me. I've got this like half painted wall because I didn't bother painting the whole thing because I knew it was getting covered by the world map. And I've got to add a few pins to the world map because we've been to a few different places since. But yeah, trebuchet ammunition in Roblox. I don't know. I mean that's. I mean, Levalette did shoot heads out of cannons, so yeah. But I don't think that those kind of people even deserve to have a flight in a trebuchet. That's kind of, a glorious end. No, I think just protection for the sandbags is it, or landfill for like filling the mortar holes in the no man land. If you've watched the film 1917, which I suggest you do. It's a very good movie. I really enjoyed 1917. It's a very good film, and I think quite realistic in the way it was done as well. But yeah, okay. Well, that's it. Unless you guys have any more questions on the Trinity, ex-homosexuals like Milo, or I don't know, other stuff that I know nothing about. Elise Vonhoff says, "Love your enemies." And David Perkins says there needs to be brain matter in there for it to be worth it needs proper weight. There you go. Well, actually, in order, I can respect an evil person. I can respect an enemy. You can respect an enemy. You don't have to. But I don't respect these kind of like morons, like flat earthing idiots. I don't. I just don't respect them at all. It's the similar thing like, some retarded Protestant that says, oh, sola scriptura and once saved, always saved. I have zero respect for people like that. You're too stupid for me to like waste, 10 minutes of my life on trying to educate you. You're worthless as far as I'm concerned. Sock backup says, Kurgan, if you shot a gamma head out of a trebuchet from your town in Italy, would Vox Day house be in range? Probably, because gamma heads are void, they're empty, so they would probably fill up with air and just float about. They've got a lot of hot air from the bullshit they talk, so it would just gently continue into the ether. Who knows? It could end up in the middle of the Pacific. Yes, Legion Commander, we'll use them to fill potholes. Exactly. I think anything more glorified than that is above their station. Oh, what's the other film that I watched that was quite decent? I mean, it was sort of, very predictable and whatever, but I think it's called The Eagle. Ooh. A story about the son of a centurion who lost the 5,000 men of his legion in the north of the Wall of Hadrian. And I don't know if it was based on any kind of true story or not. I actually, it got me thinking that I should find out a little bit more about Hadrian's Wall, which I never managed to go and visit when I was in the UK. I didn't really think about it, otherwise I probably would have gone. And Man Hugo says, punishment is a good form of love, like a parent spanking their child. That's right. And plus, Elise, you start being a good Catholic girl first before you try and tell me what I should or shouldn't do or how I should think about whatever. Beam in your own eye and all that. Okay. Well, I think the questions have sort of dried up, although there's still the same 26, 27, 28 of you, something like that. Are all the gammas just silently sitting here? Come on, Scorpio. Ask me a theological question. I'll take a theological question from one of the gammas. Serious question, though. Okay? If it's not a serious question, I'll answer not seriously. Let's see if Scorpio is still in the room. I gotta say, Scorpio is kind of my favorite gamma. He keeps his word, at least in my interactions with him, which is, that's got to count for something. Most gammas and SJWs have absolutely no concept of keeping their word. So, okay, well, I don't know if there's a delay or if that's that for tonight. But mind you, I have been going for well over an hour again. So, I wish you all a good night. Remember, the Trinity, 30 seconds long. Just go to your Bible, open up the New Testament at 1 John 5, lines 7 to 9. It'll tell you all you need to know about the Trinity. It says God the Father, the Word, Jesus Christ, and the Holy Spirit, these three are one. That's it. That's it, Protestants. It's in the Bible. The Trinity is in the Bible. David Perkins says, I've got one, but it's complex, so I'll ask it somewhere else. No, David. No, we don't shy away from complex questions here. Go ahead and shoot. And Elise Verhoff says, good night. Good night to you, Elise. Come on, David. Bring it out. And if it's too complex, I'll just tell you I'm tired and I'll go to sleep anyway. What is the Catholic doctrine on bastards? Not sure what you mean by that. You're not supposed to make bastards. That's definitely a no-no. But someone who is born a bastard, as far as I understand, doesn't have any guilt. I am reminded, though, because I have read the whole of the canon law book, there are references to something about... I don't want to lie to you because I don't remember which canon law it is, and I don't remember in relation to what, but there could be something in canon law that states that if you were a bastard, there are certain positions or certain things that you can't hold or that you might not be able to have, or you might have to go through some kind of process before you can. I can't remember because it wasn't particularly interesting to me at the time. And just so you know, women have accused me of this quite a few times. I've been called a bastard by all sorts of people, to which my reply was like, it's not my fault. You could have blamed my mother for that. Because I was, in fact, born a bastard. Later, my parents married, but originally I was born a bastard. About a year or so. Come on, David. You got to phrase your question now, somehow. Man, Hugo says, I always enjoyed the prots that do believe in the Trinity, but not purgatory because it's not in the Bible. Protestants are illiterate. That's the conclusion I've come to. They're so stupid, they're illiterate. Of course, purgatory is in the Bible. So is the Trinity. Like Protestants go, Trinity is not in the Bible. Yes, it is. Like I said, 1 John 5:7. And if you want to carry on, you can also read 1 John 5:8 and 1 John 5:9. And purgatory, yeah, it's in the Bible. It says it in there that you will all be burnt in the fire, tested, purified. What do you think that means? And do you think that you right now, whoever you are, watching the stream, as you are, do you think that you have the right, or you should be allowed, to walk into the perfect, pristine presence of absolute love, absolute justice, absolute truth, beauty, honor? You think that you, as you stand today, have the right to infect that perfection with your scummy, dirty, filthy, oil-covered, grease-covered, turd-covered philosophies, mind, body, etc.? No, of course you do not. And I refer to the little book, The Cloud of Unknowing, who generally refers to us throughout it as we are but a blot of grease and filth in a sewer, and people who are not Catholic, who don't understand Catholicism, sort of think, well, that's really harsh, and there's Catholic guilt for you. Nah. Do I look like I feel guilty to you guys? Proper Catholics, the so-called Catholic guilt, that's a churching thing. Catholics did penance for their sins. Catholic crusaders would have to sometimes go walking barefoot around the same city they were sieging 3 times because they'd killed some Muslims, some pagans, some heretic that was trying to kill them. And because, God is love and killing is not the way of God, it was understood that even though you did the necessary fighting, you'd still have to do a penance. This was very commonly known. That doesn't mean that, you have this guilt. The penance that you do is because you know you did wrong. You're trying to pay off your debt, kind of thing. Laurel Bear says, is our Blessed Mother the only mortal person to enter heaven without going to purgatory first? I have no idea, but no, I believe not. I believe that there is the possibility for, and I believe, I'm not read up on this stuff, so I could be wrong, but I believe that there are certain saints that have been told that they went straight to heaven without passing through purgatory. But by and large, if you're a Catholic, our theology is the grimmest of all, because our theology basically is that most people go to hell. Those who don't end up in purgatory, which is basically hell, except that eventually you get out. Uh, so it's pretty grim. Chad says atheists found a weak spot with Protestants about the scenario of the serial killer who asked for forgiveness right before dying and goes to heaven. They don't have a good answer for that. Well, again, the serial killer who asks for forgiveness and is truly repentant doesn't go to heaven. He goes to purgatory. But of course, if you're a Protestant and purgatory doesn't exist, well, you just go straight to heaven, right? So yeah, that's quite a good one. William Poole says created, not born. I don't know what you're talking about there. So okay, well, I think that's pretty much it, because David Perkins seems to have bowed out. I don't know. I don't see his complex questions, so I think I'm going to call it a night unless it pops up in the next 15 seconds or something. Thank you all for being here. 26 people live, 26 thumbs up, 1 thumb down. We've got the 1 thumb down, dude, which is not the story. Oh, wait. David Perkins has asked this question. The church gets its doctrine to some degree from the doctors of the church, like St. Augustine, etc. How did the church decide which philosophers were contributing God's doctrine and which weren't? Well, that leads me to another little flame war that happened on Social Galactic, which is logic and reason. Can you shoot holes in the logic and reason of St. Aquinas or St. Augustine? These are guys that sort of spent their life and many years studying the Bible and thinking, well, logically, if A, then B, then C, then so on. So it was a preponderance of evidence, really. The same way that for example, that take indulgences, right? Indulgences are considered evil, the root of all evil by Protestants. But doesn't indulgence make sense? Yes, it does. Logically, it makes sense, because what you're saying is like, if you believe that prayer works, right? And if you believe that praying for the dead, which we're commanded to do, is worthwhile, because you're saying, well, I'm praying for whatever, my brother who was a sinful bastard, but he was a Catholic, he probably is in purgatory for a long, long time, but I pray for him, please, Lord, let him get away. That prayer is a kind of purification of you, because it is the love that somebody's sending on your behalf. Now, if I give money to the church and just go, oh, here's 50 grand, go build yourself a nice new fresco or something. What does that say about me? Maybe 50 grand isn't much to me. Maybe it's my life savings. But either way, it's like time and energy and value and effort spent that I'm now giving to you to better the church, to build a bigger church, to do something with it, to help widowed mothers, whatever. Surely that's got to count for something, because you're giving that money. Now, the fact that the churchman might steal it and use it on cocaine and whores, that's a different conversation, that's a different discussion. But the fact that your time and effort to help your brother in arm get a little bit closer to God, yeah, absolutely makes perfect sense. Man here just says, I think martyrs get to skip purgatory, but I could be wrong. Yeah, I don't know. So, and William Poole is going on in his cryptic Gnostic style. Created from sin. I don't know what you're referring to, dude. What's the Catholic doctrine on bastards created, not born, created from sin? Okay, so what? We're all created from sin. Original sin applies to all of us. So, all right, I'd say that's it. Thank you all very much, and I wish you all a very good night. And thank you for coming here. William Poole, is Satanism behind the pedophilia networks like Epstein's? Well, yes. Does Satan drive people to want to defile children because they are closest to God? Yes, and also destroy innocence. Satan hates human beings. He hates us with a passion. He wants us to be humiliated, degraded, and whatever to the nth degree. So, yeah, I mean, if you have kids, I can't imagine somebody wanting to do something like that to a child, to a baby, murder, torture, mutilate, rape little children. It's like, it's beyond sick. People like that, I don't believe are in any way redeemable. I would literally burn them at the stake and I would sleep like a baby. I could literally watch people like that burn alive, seeing their eyes boil out of their head, and I would just be like, yeah, good. Where's the next one? They're scum of the earth. I mean, little kids are so like cool and innocent and like, just natural. I mean, I look at my kids, the stuff they come up with, it's hilarious. It's like the little Viking has learned to, he's a generalist, very much like his dad. He starts big picture and then goes little picture. So once he learned the word, like when he first learned the word dad, every man was dad. Then he learned, okay, there's a difference between dad and man. Okay, you're dad, everybody else, man. And he still does that with the mommy thing a bit because, he maybe because he hasn't seen as many women. I don't know. We went to the post office today and there was a queue and there was a lady there and he goes, he was running around and stuff and I was chasing him and then he came up to this lady and he goes, Mama. And I was like, dude, you want to change mom? Like, she's right there, she's going to get upset if we change to this one. And the lady laughed, and he just like carried on. But today, the other thing that he's learned another couple of words is like ready, and like my wife says, okay, it's ready, come to dinner or come to eat. So he came in after we'd been out to the playground and stuff. Today was a good day, I thought, fuck it, I'm not going to do work today. I'm just going to go to the playground, play with them, whatever. And we came back and he was like, Daddy, ready. It's like, oh, you want to eat? You want some yum yum? He goes, yes. Okay, what do you want to eat? And he like points to the cereals. Shreddies. Okay. Then he has a bowl of shreddies, and then he goes, shreddies. And like my wife shows him the shreddies again. He goes, no, mommy, shreddies. And there's like 2 or 3 different cereals. And he's like, he wants a different cereal now. But they're all shreddies to him. And then she picks the right one, puts it in his little bowl, and he's like, yes, shreddies, Mummy. It's like, how could you be so stupid not to understand which shreddies I meant? It's hilarious. But it's logical in his mind because it does make sense because it's all breakfast stuff. It's all the same cereal crap. I mean, just give me that one. The one I want. It's quite. It's quite funny the way he goes about things, and he's very observant. Like my kids are very observant. He's learned to like undo the his belt on the pram, and he's too big for the pram anyways. I mean, he's not even 2 yet, but he's like huge, so he's like his feet like stick out. But the other day when we had to do like some paperwork and stuff, and we had to wait in a queue for like about an hour. And he like learned to clip and unclip his own belt, which is quite difficult because it's got like 3 different parts. And as soon as he unclips it, he's so big and heavy, he like sort of slides down. So he kind of like has to pull himself back up and then like, find how to clip the thing back in. And and he did it for about 15 minutes straight. My daughter was the same. When they learned something, like my daughter was like, she learned to do steps with my dad. She just grabbed his finger, and for an hour she just went steps up, steps down, steps up, step down, steps up, step down, for an hour solid, no break. And then after that she could do steps. And yeah, I don't know, my kids are kind of weird like that. And the little one, she's awesome. She's the best. She's got such a cool character. She's always happy, always enthusiastic, genuinely enthusiastic. As soon as you look at her, talk to her, she's like, oh, great. And today she had the first time in a swing, so we put her in the swing and just gently like swayed her. And I filmed her with my wife's phone. And she was like, her little laughter. And she's so chubby as well. She's going to be huge as well. She's like 6 months old, and she's like 10 kilos. She's even grown even faster and more than the little Viking. I'm kind of worried because she's a girl, so I'm kind of hoping that slows down soon. But and again, she observes everything, and she's 6 months old, but she wants to do everything herself. She wants to grab her fork and feed herself. She doesn't want baby food anymore. She wants to eat what you're eating. Like same like her brother. He was the same. It's quite funny. And David Perkins says, Mexicans do the same when they can't do English. Millennials too. Very cute. that's that's very fun. Where's he, Scorpio? He's a wetback. He should be able to tell us if that's the case. How the moral immortals? Oh, I don't know that we're that moral, but we try. And anyway, we always have purgatory. 31 of you. The numbers keep growing. I was trying to go to bed. Ask me some questions quickly, or otherwise I'll just blow you all off. But Aged in the Sun, I do like your comments. You make some decent comments on the YouTube. AP says, what are your thoughts on animals suffering in the world? Well, I'm pretty much against it. My family we've been hunters since time immemorial. We've got 800-year history of killing people and hunting, and being, ready to go to war and fight and shit. We're not really great farmers, which is why it doesn't really appeal to me that much. But you got to do what you got to do. Yeah, I don't like seeing animals suffer. When we were hunting, and often I had to finish off the animals when I was about 13, 15, something like that. We'd go hunting in the Kalahari Desert and shoot hartebeest, wildebeest, whatever. They'd get shot. They'd be busy dying, but like half dead, can't finish off. And my dad would sometime, would shoot one that would go down, and then he'd like be off to get the next one. And the one that went down wasn't fully dead, so I'd finish them off with an axe, and I'd try and do as quickly a job of it as possible. I remember this one time, I'd just grab one of their horns, and then with the axe just like break into their skull casing. And the other weird thing is that these antelopes usually had these grubs. They were like about the size of my thumb. They were at least, say, that big, like like 1 or 1.5 phalanges of the finger, and they bite. Like these grubs would actually bite. If one of these grubs got onto your fingers or whatever, that you'd feel them like biting you. And they lived in the horns of these things. It was the most sort of gross looking thing. And so I remember this one hartebeest in particular, and I packed it in the head, and it was still alive. It had a broken back. It was like struggling, and I wanted to finish it so quickly. I did it so fast. I just like went bam, bam, so quick, and it was dead. And then I was like, oh, okay, trying not to make it suffer. And when I finished, I turned around, and my mother looked at me like, I was like, what? And I was like covered in like bits of brain, blood. I literally looked like a serial killer. But yeah, we always try to not make animals suffer. I don't agree with animals suffering or whatever. But that's not to say I'm a fucking vegan, because that's just retarded. And one of my most loyal henchmen is a vegan. I know he's watching this, and he's like, "Oh, he just took a hit right there. Oh, but he's doing it for some health reasons, which I still don't believe. But to be fair, some of the stuff he's told me about what foods to eat and what plants are good for certain things worked. What he told me worked. I don't think I'm a guy that can do well on a vegan diet of grains and all that, because since we got here, just out of convenience, we've been eating quite a lot of pasta, and I've never really eaten pasta, and my stomach has not been great. So I've gone back to like octopus and meat and stuff, and I'm doing okay now again. So David Perkins says, no sleep, we keep going. Yeah, dude, tell me about it. I don't remember the last time I had 8 hours of sleep. Honestly, it's been years and years and years. Nick Rodriguez says, Owen is somewhat crying right now, eating cheese. I, I, I don't know. I don't know exactly what that means, but I think it's hilarious, eating cheese. I don't know if that means Nick is eating cheese or Owen is eating cheese. That's funny. Okay, the vegans have probably left. No, my most loyal henchman. That boy can take a beating. He's he's uh, he's definitely tough. He's mentally tough. He's had a pretty rough life actually. Um, they're an interesting bunch, my little Kurganate sedevacantist immortals. They really are. Oh wait, this might be him actually. Let me just see what he sent me. It might be. It's usually funny. Oh, Francis of Assisi went straight to heaven. I could believe that. Francis of Assisi was my favorite saint. When I was a little guy, when I was about 7 years old, I used to love Francis of Assisi because I read that he could speak to birds and animals and stuff. Um, oh, you see, and he's just sent me like a laughing emoji saying the vegan bit. So you see, he's a good sport. He can take a punch, this man. He's a good guy. Really good guy. Aged in the Sun says, not sure if you ever mentioned it before, but I noticed that there is a giant serpent temple that was built in the Vatican. Yeah. There is a little bit of a perspective issue. It looks like a giant snake from where the Pope sits. So you could say, oh, well, there's a little bit of a perspective issue, and if you look at it from the side, it doesn't look like that. But, yeah. And there are more than one chapel that have been consecrated to the Freemasons, which were approved by both Wojtyla, the fake John Paul II, and Ratzinger, Ratzi the Nazi, as I like to call him. So, if you can read Italian, you should read a book about Don Villa. If you don't read Italian, again, self-promoting, but in here I tell you a little bit about Don Villa, and that was a real priest. Hectic life, and I can't do him justice in that book because you really should read the book about him before I just give a snippet about his sort of life. William Poole, did the Protestant rebellion end up directly leading to the French Revolution? I see a lot of debate around that topic. I would say yes, because the Protestant rebellion was the beginning of the secularization of Christianity, of Catholicism. And after a couple of hundred years, the secularization of Catholicism brings up this humanistic, fraternité, égalité, liberté, faggotry, which is, the French Revolution, which was a completely Freemasonic inspired thing. It was absolutely Freemasonic in nature. In fact, France pretty much went bankrupt because the Freemasons were funding the American Revolution. And that, in turn, eventually resulted in the beheading of the king and his wife, Marie Antoinette. Because when eventually the populace got sick of, what, we're starving and you're eating cake, we're going to cut your head off. But that was all orchestrated by the Freemasons that funded all the American Revolution, really. And LS16 wasn't the serpent used for a symbol for healers, doctors, thinking Dr. EMS veterinarian symbol? Yes, but you also have to keep in mind that in Revelation we're told that the whole world will be fooled by magic. And the word for magic in Greek is pharmakeia. Pharmakeia is where we get pharmaceutical from, pharmacy, and the symbol for, the medical profession. The medical profession in ancient times was intimately related to magic because they used potions and spells and all sorts of stuff. A mixture of hypnosis, autosuggestion, drugs, actual herbs that help. When I say drugs, I don't necessarily mean always bad drugs, so good drugs too. And knowledge that was passed down through the ages that helped you figure stuff out. So there was a connection between medicine men, i.e. shamans, i.e. witches, i.e. those guys, and magic. And, well, if you look at what's happening now, pharmakeia is definitely trying to kill you all off with fake non-vaccines. The Chinese intruders kind of bugging me. I don't know if you guys can hear it, but there's a buzzing and it just landed somewhere. Chinese stink bug. I need a better assault weapon because my assault shotgun, these guys are like armored. It takes about 3 or 4 shots to stun them, half kill them. Even if you shoot them directly in the face point blank, they survive it. So I need my invention would be something that shoots a tiny little bullet with a super big scope, so you can just figure out exactly where you're going to hit the insect, and it's like a magnifying glass. So you have to kind of know the biology of the insect. Flies have got a couple of different hearts and stuff, and you shoot this little bullet that just you have to hit the animal in the right shot to kill it dead. What does pharmacia mean again? Revelation. Yeah, it's magic. It's in Revelation. I posted a meme about it on Social Galactic. Let me just see. Maybe I've got it here. Oh, pardon me. Right, let me just see if I have this. There we go. Okay, so it's Revelations 18:23, and if you translate it goes, for by pharmakeia all nations were deceived. Pharmakeia meant by magic or sorcery, but it is intimately related to pharmaceutical, medicine, and so on. Again, Greek interlinear, that's your go-to if you want to really understand a little bit more. Hermes staff, isn't that the symbol? Yep, that's right. Salt trebuchet. William Poole says, Varg, I don't know who that is, has said that America has always been a place for European rejects, malcontents, lowlives, and other undesirables. Is America gamma land? Kinda, pretty much. I mean, if you look at it, the average American is a fat idiot who thinks he's the greatest thing on earth, and on pretty much every level. When an American tells you can do this, that, the other, it's they fall far short of their of what they profess to be able to do. And what they profess to be able to take care of, what they profess to be able to achieve. Not always, of course, there's always going to be exceptions, but in essence, yeah, I find Americans to be blustering idiots. But every nation has got its downfalls. If you really want to see my take on the different nations, you have to go to BitChute and look for the Kurgan channel and look at. It was video 114, but it got immediately taken down by YouTube because some fat American complained. So you'll have to go on BitChute for that. All right, well, I am tired and I am going to go to bed now. So there's 33 for a second, then you drop down to 31. Freemasons confirmed. 30 thumbs up and 2 thumbs down. Thank you all very much. I guess we had the usual thumbs down and then one bear somewhere. But we've got a far better propaganda wing than fulfillment department. Okay. Yeah. Well, yeah, LS16 says that the Americans have got a far better propaganda wing than the fulfillment department. That's you see, that's a self-awareness. That's like when I say that the average WAP, the average Italian, is just a posing fucker, because they are. Like I said, every nation has got its downfalls. But that's it for tonight. Thank you all very much, and good night, and I'll see you soon, because I'm quite enjoying the streams of late, and if I ever finish pruning all those damn trees, I might actually have some more time. So good night. Thanks again.